Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Curious Kingdom. Today we are recapping 2019 fantasy movie Super Me. Sang-yu, a destitute and isolated scriptwriter, faces the torment of sleeplessness due to persistent nightmares caused by a malevolent demon. In one particular dream, the demon violently ends his life by thrusting his head through a hole in the subway floor. Awakening from the nightmare, Sang-yu plans to engage in writing, but his landlord interrupts, delivering food as a means to collect unpaid rent. Unable to afford it, Sang-yu flees through the window, leaving his apartment behind. As he wanders the streets, he recalls the various experts he has consulted regarding his dreams, all offering differing and inconclusive theories. Seeking a meager meal, he orders a crepe without eggs due to his limited funds. However, the crepe vendor includes an egg as an extra treat. While waiting for his food, Sang-yu's attention is captivated by Hyo-er, a girl he has admired since they first met years ago at a bar where her band performed. Her enchanting singing has lingered in his thoughts ever since. Once his crepe is ready, Sang-yu settles down to eat, but he is suddenly startled by the appearance of his manager, Senji. Panicked, Sang-yu drops his crepe and attempts to flee. However, his weakened state prevents him from getting far, and Senji eventually catches up to him. Senji takes Sang-yu to a restaurant and forces him to watch as he eats, admonishing him for not fulfilling his contractual obligations and failing to submit his script on time. Despite Sang-yu's explanation about his debilitating insomnia, Senji ignores his plight and demands the completion of the script within 10 days. Returning to his apartment, Sang-yu discovers it locked, with all his belongings deposited in the hallway, a consequence of his eviction by the landlord. Seeking refuge in a cafe to continue his writing, hunger clouds his thoughts, causing him to succumb to sleep. The demon reappears in his dream, chaining him and repeatedly slamming his head against the table. Once again, Sang-yu awakens in the morning, immediately following his dream self's demise, only to find his laptop stolen. Feeling lost, unable to differentiate between nightmares and reality, Sang-yu sends a message to Senji, expressing his intention to end his life and reunite with his deceased parents. He contemplates leaping from the roof of a building near Hyo-er's cafe. However, his suicide plan is interrupted by the crepe vendor, who offers him free food. Joined by the vendor on the rooftop, Sang-yu learns about different perspectives on death and dreams. The vendor proposes a simple solution. When plagued by nightmares, Sang-yu should remind himself that he is dreaming to facilitate a quicker escape. Remaining on the rooftop, Sang-yu watches Hyo-er until nightfall, in need of money for sustenance. He sells his cell phone. While at a convenience store, contemplating theft, he hesitates when he senses someone observing him. After purchasing food, Sang-yu is shocked when Hyo-er unexpectedly approaches him with genuine concern. However, he quickly realizes that Hyo-er is, in fact, the demon, forcefully pressing him against the store's glass. To the store clerk, it appears as if Sang-yu is experiencing a panic attack. The demon lifts Sang-yu and impales him with a sword, hurling him through the window. Recalling the crepe vendor's advice, Sang-yu mentally affirms that he is dreaming, allowing him to awaken while still mid-flight. In reality, he is propelled through the shattered glass unharmed and unexpectedly finds himself holding the demon's sword. Fleeing before the arrival of an ambulance, Sang-yu spends the night in a park, examining the sword and ensuring he is no longer trapped in a dream. The following morning, he decides to sell the sword at a flea market but soon realizes its significant value, prompting him to visit a pawn shop. There, he receives the sword's true worth, an astonishing 20,000 units of currency. Sang-yu immerses himself in a life of indulgence, utilizing the money he gains from selling the demon's artifacts. He purchases a new computer, dines at upscale restaurants, and stays in luxurious hotels. Seeking solace in sleep, he takes sleeping pills and awaits his recurring dream to unfold. This time, his dream takes place in the hotel itself. As Sang-yu explores the hallway, he grasps a vase and exclaims, "I'm dreaming." Unfortunately, his proclamation yields no change. Undeterred, he continues his exploration, only to be pursued by the demon wielding a massive golden axe. The demon inflicts injuries upon Sang-yu, but he manages to seize the axe and assert, "I'm dreaming." Once again, he awakens with the weapon in hand, unscathed. Sang-yu sells the axe at the pawn shop and swiftly exhausts the money on lavish clothing, a new car, and a night of revelry with women at a bar. However, he declines their company in his hotel room, merely providing funds for their cab fare before retiring to bed, determined to alter his dream experience. He experiments with a new technique, viewing photographs of an esteemed museum before falling asleep. His dream unfolds precisely within the museum's confines. Sang-yu marvels at the antiques, awaiting the demon's arrival. This time, the demon wields a firearm, disrupting Sang-Yu's plans. Evading bullets, he flees from the demon's pursuit but eventually succumbs to its lethal assault. Once more, Sang-Yu wakes in his hotel room without any souvenirs. Unsatisfied with leaving the dream incomplete, he ingests a sleeping pill and re-enters the dream, resuming his evasive maneuvers. With an extraordinary leap, he successfully avoids bullets and seizes 2 antiques before declaring, "I'm dreaming," and awakening. Sang-Yu sells these newfound treasures to professional antique dealers, obtaining a sum of 2 million. While questioned about his methods, he manages to deflect their inquiries. Upon leaving the shop, Sang-Yu encounters a furious Sanji, who had assumed he was deceased. Sang-Yu invites Sanji to dine at an upscale restaurant, repaying the money previously received for his script and announcing his departure from writing. The following day, he enters Hua-Er's cafe, ordering a latte and attempting to gauge her recognition. However, Hua-Er fails to remember him. Sang-Yu queries her about the cafe's impending sale, to which she explains that the lack of clientele and accumulating debts necessitated the decision. Later that evening, Sang-Yu drinks excessively during dinner with Sanji, who yearns to uncover the secret behind his friend's newfound success. Sanji accompanies Sang-Yu to his hotel room, tucking him into bed before pretending to leave. However, Sang-Yu abruptly awakens, clutching golden chains, having discovered Sanji's intentions. Now aware of the secret, Sanji implores Sang-Yu to allow him to assist in this new endeavor, a proposal Sang-Yu contemplates. Subsequently, Sang-Yu purchases Hua-Er's cafe and proposes that she continues to manage it while they share the profits, and Sang-Yu assumes responsibility for the losses. In gratitude, Hua-Er invites him to dinner, where they discuss their joint business venture. Hua-Er expresses suspicion about Sang-Yu's motivations, surmising that he desires more than financial gain. From that point forward, Sang-Yu regularly embarks on dream adventures while Sanji safeguards his physical body. Some of his dreams involve bank heists, showcasing his growing mastery over his powers. He learns to fight back against the demon and manipulate objects with his mind, even successfully bringing larger objects from his dreams into reality. Over time, Hua-Er's cafe flourishes due to Sang-Yu's efforts, as Sanji recruits people from the streets to increase its customer base. Sang-Yu expresses gratitude to the crepe vendor by leaving a bag of money as a token of appreciation for the free meals he received. Following the cafe's closure, Sang-Yu takes a stroll with Hua-Er, during which she deduces his occupation as a scriptwriter based on a few comments. Sang-Yu begins accompanying her home each day after work, and one night, he allows her to drive the red car from his dreams, gifting it to her. Hua-Er assumes Sang-Yu is a renowned scriptwriter due to his apparent good fortune. While driving through the night, Sang-Yu reminisces about the day he first encountered Hua-Er, observing her tears after a confrontation with her ex and following her to the cinema on several occasions. To maintain his deceit, Sang-Yu decides to write an actual script and entrusts it to Sanji for evaluation while he continues his dream journeys. Since Hua-Er occupies his thoughts constantly, he frequently dreams about being in bed with multiple replicas of her. However, he forces himself to wake up abruptly, only to find Sanji in tears over how exceptional the script is. Their plan commences as they decide to sell the script to a film company. They offer their own funds to hire renowned actors and ensure its grand success. To honor him, they even organize a special dinner event, and Sang-Yu takes Hua-Er as his guest. During the event, there's a unique presentation that fabricates his career, claiming he authored numerous successful movies but chose not to take credit for them in order to explore the world. A few days later, Sang-Yu has a peculiar dream where he encounters the body of a meditating monk. As he tries to take the monk's belt, his hand disintegrates. Undeterred, he tries again once his hand regenerates. This time, he successfully removes the belt, causing the monk to touch his chest with smoking fingers. Despite this, Sang-Yu remains unperturbed as the usual demon fails to appear, and both the treasure and the monk disintegrate. On one occasion, Sang-Yu takes Hua-Er to the rooftop, where he nearly jeopardizes his life but instead presents her with a fireworks show he has specially prepared. When Hua-Er expresses her concern about his sudden disappearance, he assures her that he will never leave her. Afterward, they go to Hua-Er's apartment. While she freshens up in the bathroom, Sang-Yu practices a potential confession. However, he is interrupted by a sudden sensation of something hitting his chest. When he checks the mirror, he notices 2 smoking black lines on his skin. Returning to his own place, Sang-Yu disregards the party Sanji is hosting and goes straight to bed. Sanji prepares to collect the night's treasure, but Sang-Yu informs him it's unnecessary as he intends to sleep alone this time. In his dream, Sang-Yu finds himself in a tall, empty building, encountering a mysterious figure on the balcony. As he approaches, he realizes it is a disintegrating version of his future self. Upon waking up, Sang-yu discovers a new scar on his shoulder, with more scars appearing throughout the day, mirroring the spots where the demon had previously injured him in his dreams. The next morning, he seeks advice from the crepe man, but on his way there, he gets kidnapped by a van. After the bag is removed from his head, Sang-yu finds himself in an abandoned building surrounded by a gang of criminals led by Kang-ji. Desperate, Sang-yu offers to pay whatever they want and eventually agrees to pay 10 million. He calls Sen-ji and asks him to bring the money. However, upon Sen-ji's arrival, Kang-ji's men take the money and capture Sen-ji, whom Kang-ji plans to use as leverage. With no other choice, Sang-yu brings the entire group, including an unconscious Sen-ji, back to his apartment. He reveals his hidden room filled with antiques. Kang-ji interrogates Sang-yu, attempting to extract a confession regarding the origin of these rare items. In the midst of this, Hua-er arrives at the building. The receptionist announces Hua-er's arrival, prompting Sang-yu to urge her to leave for her own safety. Upset by this, Hua-er approaches the receptionist, who informs her that Sang-yu's door is strangely still open and allows her to go up. As soon as Hua-er steps out of the elevator, one of the thugs captures her and brings her to the same location where Sang-yu is being held. Kang-ji starts taunting Hua-er, attempting to expose Sang-yu's lies. Another one of Kang-ji's men disapproves of this, believing they were only after money. In response, Kang-ji dons golden knuckles and beats the disapproving thug, while Sang-ji gradually wakes up unnoticed. When Kang-ji turns his attention to Hua-er, she defends herself by kicking him. Using this opportunity, Sen-ji strikes with a vase, hitting the thug restraining Hua-er. Sang-yu bites the thug holding him and manages to escape, although not without being stabbed first. The three of them flee while Kang-ji shoots the beaten thug. However, Sang-yu's injuries make it difficult for him to walk. The gang catches up with them on the stairs, and Sang-yu gets stabbed again. Sen-ji sacrifices himself by staying behind, distracting the thugs while Sang-yu and Hua-er make their escape. Unfortunately, Sen-ji's lone efforts are no match for the trained men, and he is overwhelmed. One of the thugs successfully captures Sang-yu and Hua-er on the upper floor, subjecting them to a brutal beating without any concern, even as Sang-yu stabs one of them with a dagger. Overwhelmed, they both lose consciousness. When Sang-yu regains awareness, he finds himself in enigmatic ruins covered in a rapidly dissipating black substance. Exploring his surroundings, he touches a luminous archway and experiences a flashback of his recent months, encompassing real-life events, dreams, and even an alternate version of himself being taken away in an ambulance on the night outside the convenience store. Afterward, he approaches a colossal crystal wall and begins striking it while repeating the phrase "I'm dreaming" persistently. Eventually, he collapses from blood loss. Suddenly, Sang-yu's body undergoes a transformation, and he assumes the form of the demon. Equipped with a machete that materializes in his hand, he continues to assault the crystal wall while envisioning altered conversations where he confronts his landlord and Sen-ji for their lack of kindness. Finally, the wall shatters, and the demon emerges into Sang-yu's living room, coinciding with Sang-yu's awakening. The demon ruthlessly dispatches all the thugs. He then sets his sights on Sang-yu, intent on killing him. However, Sang-yu mutters "I'm dreaming," and all the antiques he had acquired in his dreams start vanishing, both in his apartment and from the collections of the wealthy individuals. Once again, Sang-yu loses consciousness, only to awaken outside the convenience store on the fateful night. Hua-er recognizes him from the concert and feels sorry for him. She takes him to her place to provide him with a proper meal. While enjoying a bowl of noodle soup, she informs him that she read one of his stories in a magazine and found it impressive. She believes he simply needs a stroke of luck to achieve a breakthrough. In the meantime, she offers him a job at her cafe, causing him to break down in tears. It is revealed that Hua-er has always been aware that he had been observing her. Some time later, Sang-yu and Hua-er are working together at the cafe. Hua-er surprises Sang-yu with a gift, a brand new laptop for him to write on. Later, Sang-yu meets Sen-ji at a restaurant to return the money he had borrowed since he can't write a script on demand. He only wants to write what he truly desires. Instead of accepting the money, Sen-ji gives him even more, as he managed to sell one of Sang-yu's old scripts. To celebrate, Sang-yu insists on covering the bill. Many days pass, and Sang-yu has found contentment in his life. He visits the crepe man to place an order, and the man seizes the opportunity to return his money. He also reveals a scar on his stomach, explaining that he once possessed the same power as Sang-yu but discovered that a humble life is preferable. As Sang-yu listens to the man's story, the ruins from his recent dream reappear behind him, unveiling the revelation that the new demon, who killed the thugs, has been secretly observing him since his reappearance at the convenience store. That's all for today, folks. Like, share, and subscribe for more such content. Curious Knight signing off. Stay safe, stay curious.